Hello crochet friends, welcome back to Crazy Cool Crochet. In this project we are going to be making this gorgeous crochet long cardigan in bands of red, and it's got two different shades of red, a little pep of hot grape and hot pink. The tutorial is for a size small, but more direction will be given at the blog crazycoolcrochet.com for different sizes, so be sure to head over there for that. Also, I will leave a link in the description area below. You have to open that up manually. You'll find a little tiny V next to the name of this video. So open that up and you'll find all kinds of other detail in there. The materials we're using is 4 different shades of yarn. I'm using Yarn Bee Soft Secret in red, chili red, hot grape, and hot pink. Scissors, yarn needle, and the crochet hook is an H or a 5mm. So let's go ahead and get started. We are going to start with the front panel, and we make 2 identical panels. We'll start with the ribbing with a chain of 19. Now we'll be working a regular single crochet in the second chain from the hook. Don't count the one on the hook. You skip that first one, go into the second chain, and a regular single crochet in each chain across. Now you do want to work on the tighter side for the ribbing. Keep it nice and taut. At the end of the row, you'll have 18 single crochets, chain 1, and turn. Now we are going to be working in the back loop only for the remainder of the ribbing. Starting in the first single crochet, go into the chain at the top, into the center of that chain, and you will be working with that back loop for a single crochet. Now for most of this ribbing, that very first space will probably be very tight, so don't miss that very first space. Just keep count. Make sure you're at 18 single crochets, and you will continue working in the back loop for a total of 44 rows. At the end of that second row, chain 1, turn, and just repeat, working into the back loop, single crochet in each single crochet across. Now when you're done with your 44 rows, you will have ended on the wrong side. So if you turn this over, there's the tail from the foundation chain, that's the right side. Okay, so the end of row 44 puts you on the wrong side. And now we're going to enter 34 single crochets along that long edge. And it's going to be a matter of eyeballing it. So just try to space your single crochets evenly across. You might have to do this a couple times to get the count of 34 at the end of the row, or at the end of the edge. Okay, so at the end of that last row of the ribbing, chain 1, and then just turn this sideways, long ways, and then just start working single crochets into available spaces. There's no hard fast rules to this as far as where to enter the hook. Just let the hook find a space. And work your way across for 34. And now, after we complete our 34th single crochet, we're going to bring in the next color. and we're going to start working in extended single crochets. Okay, so you are starting your last single crochet, number 34. Got your 2 loops on the hook. Bring in the next color, which is pink. Leave a tail for weaving in at the end. And then complete the single crochet with the pink. Now chain 2. Tighten everything up a little bit, pull on those tails, turn. Now we're going to start not in that very first space, but in the next space. Okay, so don't go in that first one, go in the next one, as if for a single crochet. 2 loops on the hook. Now pull the yarn through the first loop. And now again you've got 2 loops on the hook. Now pull through both loops. That's an extended single crochet. Let's do that again. Right into the next space under the 2-strand chain, so you know where you're going into. Going under those 2 strands. Two loops on the hook, pull through the first loop, pull through the last 2 loops. 2 loops on the hook, pull through the first loop, pull through the last 2. That's an extended single crochet. Now I chose the extended single crochet rather than just a regular single crochet because straight single crochets make a much denser fabric. And that's not what I was looking for. I wanted a fairly flat panel, but not too closed up. So the extended single crochet is the perfect in between. Okay, so that's all you do. Enter an extended single crochet into each space across, and you will have 33 extended single crochets. There's number 33, chain 2, turn, and repeat. So again, you skip that very first space, go into the next one, and continue across in each space. Now we are cutting off the yarn when we change colors because the bands are a bit on the wide side, so carrying the yarn up will leave kind of a messy edge, so it's easier just to cut the yarn off as we change colors, and then we'll just weave in those ends at the end. So keep going for a total of 10 rows in the pink. Okay, so we're on the second row of the pink. I wanted to make sure that you understood that the last really quirky and awkward, it's in the chain at the very end here is where you work. So you have to really be watching for that and keep track of your count. Now at the end of the 10th row of the pink, we're going to bring in the main red again. So we finish off that last extended single crochet with the red. Chain 2, cut off the pink, turn, and continue in the pattern. So now we're going to do 15 rows in the red. So here are the almost completed 2 front panels. We will still need to add 2-inch ribbing along the front and the back neck once everything is put together. So now, what we have done here, there's the ribbing and the pink panel of 10 rows in pink, then 15 rows in the original darker red, then 10 rows in the lighter red, 15 rows in the darker red, 10 rows in purple, 10 rows in pink, then 12 rows in the darker red, 6 rows in the lighter red, and then 7 rows in the darker red to finish it off. And of course they're all done in the same number of stitches, 33 extended single crochets. Now let me show you the back panel. The back panel is worked exactly the same as the front panels. The difference is in the number of stitches. So for the ribbing, we start with a chain of 19, and you're going to be working in the back loops only for 18 single crochets, and you are working for 92 rows, 9-2. And then we will be adding that first row in red of single crochets along the edge, and you need to add 76 single crochets. Now the easiest way to do this so that you can space them evenly is to eyeball the center, work for roughly 37 stitches to get to the middle, and then you know to do the remainder on the other half. Then you will be working the extended single crochet pattern for 75 extended single crochets, and you do your rows of colors exactly the same as for the front. Now for the sleeves, of course, you'll need to make 2, and we are working the ribbing starting with a chain of 26 and then working the back loops only for 25 single crochets, and you are working for 34 rows. Now in order to get enough width on the sleeve, we need to double up on that first row of the single crochets in the red. So work 48 single crochets across that edge, and then start working your extended single crochets, and then start working your extended single crochets the same as for the body, and you'll be working with 47 extended single crochets. Now the number of rows for the different colors. Pink, you'll do 6 rows. The darker red, 10 rows. The lighter red, 8 rows. The darker red, 11 rows. And then we'll finish it off with 4 rows in purple. Now the sleeve does look ridiculously short. However, the body has a drop sleeve, so that will add at least a couple more inches to the sleeve. Okay, now we are going to seam the shoulders. So we've got the back panel on the bottom, the front panel on the top. We've got right sides touching each other. You want these wrong side up. Okay, now this is the wrong side, and here's how you can tell. This is the foundation chain where you started the ribbing. Okay, so this is where you started and worked that way. So that makes this the right side where the tail is. So now we're going to turn that over so that now we're on the wrong side. So now I start at the shoulder corner. This is where the sleeve would be. Take your yarn needle and length of yarn. Start in the cornermost stitch. Insert the needle. I like to tie the ends. Keep it more secure. And then you pretty much want to match stitch for stitch as you're working your way along all the way to the end. And you're just using a whip stitch, so that just means you go around, go under 2 strands on each panel. Have to fight your way around those tails at the beginning. And so under 2 strands. And that's all you're doing. Just work your way across. And then of course do the same on the other side. Tie off the yarn when you get to the end. Leave a tail so you can be weaving that in and hiding it. Now it's time to seam the sleeve to the body. That's the back, that's the front. The shoulder has been seamed, and now we use the same whip stitch to seam along the side of the cardigan and the top of the sleeve. Find the shoulder seam and the body and the center of the sleeve, just so you get the right position, and then whip stitch all across. Now we are going to seam the sleeve and the side. So using the same whip stitch. I usually like to start at the bottom and work my way up under the sleeve and down the cuff. And then of course do the other side, and then we will finish off with the ribbing along the center. Okay, we are at the finish line. Now we're going to add the ribbing along the front. And let me see if I can give you the lay of the land here. So this is the bottom ribbing, and this is working our way up to the neck, up to the shoulders, and then around the back, and then back around the other side. So we are going to be working the ribbing going this way. However, we're working this a bit differently from how we've been working. And we're going to attach the yarn in the first stitch in the bottom of that ribbing with a chain. Now chain 8. Now we're going to work a single crochet into the second chain, and into each chain across. And there's the last one, is number 7. Now we need to slip stitch into the next stitch, and slip stitch again into the next stitch. Now you're going to turn that little row of single crochets toward you, and we're going to be working in the back loop only for the 7 single crochets. And there's number 7. Now chain 1, and now turn it this way toward you again. And now we're working again in the back loop only for 7 single crochets. And again, there's number 7. So back to the home row, I'm going to call that. I'm going to slip stitch into the next stitch and slip stitch into the next one. So every time you come back down to the home row, you're going to slip stitch into the first 2 or the next 2 stitches, and then turn. And then again work your 7 single crochets in the back loop only. You have to be careful where you're starting. Chain 1 and then turn. So just continue with that. So you're going to be doing your 7 single crochets, slip stitch into the next 2 stitches on the home row, turn it, 7 single crochets, chain 1, turn, and just keep going across until we get over here. So this is where we are. And now I've come up to that pink row, and we just continue the same. So I did my first slip stitch, and now I'm going to do the second one and just work it in evenly. So you're going to continue exactly the same. 7 back loop only single crochets, turn, 7 single crochets, come back, and then slip stitch. It's going to be a little more difficult to tell where you're slip stitching, so just make it evenly spaced. I entered my 7th, so now in this space I'm going to slip stitch, and in the next space. And then continue. Okay, now the object of how you're spacing these is to keep the ribbing from scrunching up too much if your stitches are too close, or if they're too far, then this will stretch out too much. So just try to keep an even keel, an even tension, and just keep an eye on where you're entering your slip stitches. If you need to, just enter 1 slip stitch if it feels like it's getting too wide, the ribbing. So just continue this all the way around. Okay, I wanted to show you where I am on mine, and I have been doing only 1 slip stitch space, and then alternating. Every now and again I'll do the 2 slip stitches, and then I'll go back to 1, just to keep it all as straight as possible, so it's not bunching up at all, and it's not stretching out too far. And that seems to be working. And here is the completed Crochet Long Cardigan in bands of red. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And please, if you like it, give me a thumbs up. That would be awesome. All of that is super helpful to my channel, and I do appreciate your support so much. I hope you enjoy this. I hope you try making it. It looks gorgeous on, as you can see from the pictures at the beginning of the video. And we will see you on the next project. Thanks for watching.